You're entering the Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Sunday Night Live, Week 4 recap, Week 5 Lions. We got some Cust Corner on the go. Just a reminder to everyone out there, we're going to be live in between the end of the late games and before Sunday Night Football starts. Well, obviously we'll go off the air, but not before we get the first touchdown bet, or at least who's not going to score the first touchdown from Tim. Reminder to all to smash the like for the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network, rate, review, download the podcast if you're listening to this after the fact. And there's just more of a hang. We still got games going on. We got a tie game, Green Bay, New England, as we're recording this show. I'm just really praying that Denver can hold on to the plus 2.5 here, being down 2 to Vegas, although it's not looking good as it updates on my screen. So we got a few sweats going on. Hope you played Jared Goff and TJ Hawkinson this week on DraftKings, because if you didn't, you're probably not going to win any money this week. Housekeeping off the start. I'm going to do this now so I don't forget to do it. Injuries from today. And the newsletter will come out later tonight with the full list and cheat sheet. If you want it, go subscribe down in the description. Javonte Williams left the game with a knee injury. He could be out like 2 to 8 weeks. So we need to hear more about that. Jonathan Taylor has to get his ankle tested to see how long he's going to go out. Ian Rappaport was going to update on this. He might not play. I think they play on Thursday nights. That might be a quick turnaround for them. Jamison Crowder, Isaiah McKenzie, Laviska Shenault, sorry, Internet, Quintez Cephas, Kenny Golladay, and Traylon Burks, who is like the new Laviska Shenault, all left the game at receiver. Jonnu Smith left for the Patriots at tight end. Brian Hoyer left the game. Then we got Zap coming in for the New England Patriots, and who's still on the field right now. And Daniel Jones left the game with an ankle injury. Then Tyrod came in. Then Tyrod got concussed, so Daniel Jones had to come back in. They play in London next week, so they're not quite sure what's going on. Does it really matter? Probably not. Let's bring in the crew. Tim Andercuss is here. Jeremy Keefe is here, who people may remember from the Custies Awards panel show. Not your first time on the show.
No, and a bit of a Cust truther, as I mentioned before. You know, a
You're
fact checker.
on?
Exactly. Whatever Cust says, I'm there to keep tabs on it and make sure that he stays on board.
What about this hat?
I got to tell you, I really like the hat. I liked the hat when I was watching the show a couple of weeks ago. I can see from the side now, if you would be as kind enough to just turn. Jet head. I mean, what else? What more is there to say?
Victory.
You've calmed down over the last 3.5 hours or so. You were doing the gritty. Can you give us a gritty here like Zach Wilson?
There's so much.
What?
There's so
Are
much
you
more
having a
room
stroke?
For a
No,
proper
I'm
gritty.
just doing the dance. Look, have I calmed down? Yes. But we are very good. We did not play well in the first half, but look, Zach didn't have any preseason. It was his first game. He looked kind of rusty. In the fourth quarter, for the second time in 4 weeks, the Jets proved they are the best fourth quarter team in football. They have pulled out 2 big victories in a row on the road to win those games. I'm a very, very excited person. The AFC seems to be weaker than a lot of people thought. The Jets got themselves through 2-2. Zach is back. We're looking good. I am ready for the Dolphins next Sunday. Things are going well for the Jets. There's lots and lots and lots of wins out there.
Paul, you already have a question.
More of a statement. I appreciate Tim's gumption, but if you
Do you have a microphone?
Yeah, I got
Oh,
it.
okay.
I got it on. If you can avoid just pounding the desk.
I thought it was padded so I could pound.
Yeah, it's not.
All right,
set up
fine.
for that.
I will keep my pounding to Jets touchdowns only. And there won't be any because they're not in this game.
Are the Jets taking you to Pound Town, pal?
The Jets are really, really good. They're not the best team, but they're really, and you can't play like that in the fourth quarter 2 times in a row on the road if you're not a really good football team. They take advantage of opportunities. They obviously have some very good coaching about big moments. And Zach, when the moment was biggest, he came through. There's a reason that he was the thumbnail for tonight's show. You can say he graduated to a really good quarterback today. A big fourth quarter win. But of course, the haters don't care. They want to make fun. We played great. I can't wait for the Dolphins next week.
How many interceptions should he have thrown today?
He played rustily in the first half, even the first 3 quarters. I agree. But he got into a groove. He got into rhythm. And then even you said, wow, he's actually playing really good in this fourth quarter. Because he was. Because the Jets are a fourth quarter team. Some teams are a first quarter team. Buffalo, as we saw, is a third quarter team. That's where they score all their points. The Jets happen to be a good team when the moments matter most. That's just how it is this year. I'm very excited. Paths are opening up. Opening up.
You ready to do this?
Do what?
Miami, week 5.
That's a win.
Green Bay, week 6. You just watch. Green Bay might lose to the Patriots.
Green Bay is the Ponzi scheme you keep calling Carolina as well.
No, I think Carolina showed us today that it was the Ponzi scheme bowl, Arizona and Carolina. That was a horrific game.
That's a win.
Why? Okay, did we get any confirmation of why Cliff Kingsbury decided to go for 2 instead of kick the extra point when he was up 16?
Like you said, maybe the kicker's hurt. That's the only justifiable explanation.
It was one that we were all just sitting there going, you know what? We assume they know better than we do. But at the same time, I can't figure this one out at all.
It's like calling with Jack Eye.
So, we'll get to calling with Jack Eye and Thor, a poker dealer, to really break it down.
Yeah.
And I want to hear some of the worst things that you've seen.
We call that a tease in the biz, right?
You learned what SEO was earlier today for real.
Tim has really made some strides today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that because I think I have.
You probably wish I was here for Sunday night.
It was great to
football
have
a
an
little more
ally
often.
in the room for a change this week. It was great.
So
I don't know if I'd call myself an ally, but okay.
you're an ally to the Cust.
You're not an enemy. That makes you an ally.
That's how he's choosing to see it now.
That's probably cursing myself by doing that.
Yeah, that's not good. Like by the next time that we have to put you on the Custies panel show, it's just going to be like frozen internet. The mic's not going to work. It's not going to be good.
I'll be live from the hospital.
Yeah, it's the end of Jeremy. One last show, the Custies, and that'll be the end of them. So win-win, Miami and Green Bay at Denver.
Win.
So 3-0 versus at home against New England.
Win.
At home against Buffalo.
That's a loss.
That's a loss. Bye week. You always like the Jets on the bye.
It's a
You always have them
week.
like -2.5 against the bye.
Stress-free week.
At New England
Win.
versus Chicago.
Win.
At Minnesota.
Loss.
Really?
I don't like that spot for us.
Okay. At Buffalo
Loss.
versus Detroit
Win.
versus Jacksonville.
Win.
At Seattle.
Win.
At Miami.
Win.
So you did proclaim that if the Jets host a playoff game, you will put on body paint and come on the show.
I will sit on this show in full body paint before the game. If we host a playoff game, I promise. My hand is up. I will do that 100%.
The potential
Whoa.
Mr. Olympia himself in
I
full body
could
paint.
have been Mr. Olympia if I wanted to be, but I don't have the discipline. I just didn't have the discipline to do it or the desire, but I could have been. I just chose not to be. I have the height, I have the stature, I have the build. I just didn't go through with it.
That's the only reason.
No, not the only reason. Well, the only reason is the biggest reason. I didn't have the fortitude to drive myself to do it.
So we were asking you how much you could deadlift earlier, after you said that deadlifting 1,000 pounds was not impressive.
Right. I just said it wasn't like earth-shattering, because it's not earth-shattering.
It'd be like foot-shattering if you dropped it on your foot.
I'm sure it's heavy, I guess.
1,000 pounds.
I'm sure it is. Too.
So, but what do you think that you could deadlift?
I don't know. I don't know.
You got to throw if 1,000 isn't impressive to you. When we asked you how far you could throw a javelin, it was beyond the world record.
Which is why I'm afraid to answer the question.
He refused to answer earlier, and I thought it was because he was above deadlifting as an event.
Well, I mean, it's not
The way you discussed
for a
it,
reason.
it was as if it was the stupidest thing anyone could
Well,
possibly ever do.
I don't know how useful or efficient it is compared to like the snatch or the lift clean or anyway.
But that's useful.
well,
The snatch is a useful move, but
This-
deadlift isn't.
The snatch that the first 40% of is a deadlift.
yeah. So in other words, the deadlift is a partial aspect of an actual event.
It's part of the lift that you just mentioned. Yeah.
Right. So to do just a part of it really well, it's like saying you're really, really good at the first 6 holes in golf.
Or
oh,
saying,
you're a pro at the 6
or
holes.
bragging about a football team that's good in the fourth
But
quarter.
the fourth quarter, the quarter that matters.
Again, I'm here to fact check you.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's fine.
What'd you make of your Eagles today?
Eagles, are they not the hottest team in the NFL?
Yeah.
Once again,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I have yet to not refer to them as the world champion Philadelphia Eagles because they did win the Super Bowl and since then haven't lost a Super Bowl, which is an
We
important
were
part of
present
that
for that
too.
Super Bowl.
We went to that Super Bowl. We left before the actual Super Bowl.
That's
We were in
right.
Minnesota.
In Minnesota, right? Yeah.
I like this. It's sort of like a wrestling belt. Until you get beaten, you're still the champ.
To be the man, right? Woo! Yeah. And I think maybe this year is another year when they just add another notch to that belt.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm not calling.
Do you
it this
actually
early.
feel good about this team? Like you watched them, like going into this week against Jacksonville, were you scared?
No, not against Jacksonville. No.
Really?
Not at all. No.
But Jacksonville's a new hot team.
When are they going to play a real
I know,
opponent, Jeremy?
but
is the question.
At this,
When are they going to play a good team?
Maybe that's right. Maybe they've had a slightly easier schedule so far, but they haven't lost.
That's
and until they do, I'm just going to keep beating my
And they
chest
won't
about.
until they play the Packers, as you heard on the Hammer.
Oh, yes. We did an alternate video this week at the hammer.bet if anyone wants to check it out. Jeff, Tim, and I do one right after we film the spread show, and it's all about future bets. Tim versus Jeff in future bets. And this week, Tim made his future bet. The Eagles will go undefeated until they play the Packers, I think in week 12.
Something like that.
And he bet it at 15-1, and then I went through that if you just took $100 to start off with and bet on the Eagles money line every single week until you got to the Packers game, it would be like 35-1.
But that's not a bet I can take on the
Well,
show.
you're not going to bet it anyway. So why are you giving people bad advice on the bets?
I have to put something in my portfolio.
Well, the week before you tried to bet MVP.
Well, that's because I'm a fool and I didn't know what I was doing. That's different.
Well, this also sounds like you don't know what you're doing.
No, I know what sorry, Paul. I know what I'm doing. I just couldn't add that into the portfolio the way I wanted to. If you wanted to give me 28-1 on it instead of 15-1, I take those odds, but I can't.
I'm just glad you didn't mention this earlier, or I would have really been worried about today.
You would have just put your money on Jacksonville?
Probably. Cust
Free.
had said that they weren't definitely not going to lose this week and for the next 6 or 7
They were my
weeks.
super lock too.
I would have been scared, but no, I even when they were down 14-0, I think really early on, didn't even sweat it.
What do you
World
think?
champion Philadelphia Eagles.
What do you think the chance of this game ends in a tie?
Oh, that'd be glorious.
Packers tie?
That'd be glorious.
That's how I thought. Okay, let's program the A block. This was a popular segment from last time we did it. We're on PTI tomorrow. Obviously, we don't know the outcome of the Sunday Nighter. It has not happened yet. So we're programming the lead 4 stories for tomorrow on PTI. Gotta think Bills comeback's number 1. That was the big game of the day. The Bills were down. They shut out
Green Bay loses here. If Green Bay loses, it's what's wrong with the Packers.
Nothing about anyone in a pool.
I don't think that's going to make the. I don't think the big stick's going to make the A block.
Big stick.
No, I don't. But if Green Bay doesn't prevail here, the question will be what's wrong with Green Bay.
You think that's bigger
the A
than
block.
Josh Allen and Bill? Josh Allen
Yeah, I
puts
do.
Bills on back.
I think
beats
Aaron
Ravens.
Rodgers and the Packers. What's wrong with them? Is it? Yeah.
Paul decided not to watch the game with us today. He watched the game at home after he was doing yard work. And the first thing he told us when he came over to the house to watch the rest of the games was, what did Tim say about Buffalo at halftime? And Tim, what did you say about Buffalo?
When it was 20-3, I was like, that might be all the points Baltimore needs. Because the way Buffalo was playing, its usual soft self against any resistance, didn't seem like they were going to do well. Now, they pulled it out, so I guess we got to give them kudos. But it proves my point that Buffalo is not a team you want when there's the slightest bit of adversity against them. They're great against air, and they're great indoors. They're great when the weather is pleasant, not too hot because that's too much for them, and not too rainy because that's too much for them. But if it's decent weather, the Super Bowl is indoors in Arizona. They'd have a great shot if they played in the actual Super Bowl. But they have to play in adverse conditions, they're in trouble because they are softer than Kleenex.
Paul, you don't seem impressed by that.
I just wanted to bring up that I talked to my mom, who's also a diehard Bills fan, on Friday about all of this. She watches your guys' show, and she was very mad at you, Tim.
Well, I mean, I'm not.
She's like, this guy's too scared to call and get a reservation at a restaurant, but he's going to call Josh Allen soft?
Yeah,
Those were her words, not mine.
Someone did mention that you're calling Josh Allen soft, yet when you saw that KFC had painted itself green for a promotion, you had a panic attack and had to pull over to the side of the road.
I don't know how to describe it that
You
way,
had an
but
emotional breakdown.
I was very upset. But look, my softness or lack of softness has absolutely zero effect on how soft Buffalo is.
But in terms of determining who's soft.
I think I'm well positioned to call the Bills soft. And I've been right over and over again. They're not a good team.
People are asking what Franz Constantine, the 8th, is going to reward himself with the Jets' victory.
That's a very good question. I think it might be because tomorrow's the last day before Monopoly. I think tomorrow morning might be as Cam recommended on the show, great idea, by the way. Get the 2 breakfasts for one, have the orange juice with one, coffee with the other, bacon McMuffin, sausage McMuffin, and the 2 hash browns. That might be the reward. It's like the final goodbye to McDonald's. because I won't be there for the next month because I just can't be around during Monopoly.
So what you're planning on doing is making McDonald's into a buffet because it isn't one.
Look, the deal is available on the app, so I probably will reward myself with the Cam Stewart special.
If you're going to splurge on McDonald's in this circumstance and Monopoly starts in 3 days, why wouldn't you just wait the 3 days?
Because I don't want to play Monopoly.
But you do want to play Monopoly.
Okay.
You're gonna go anyway. Okay. You just told us tomorrow you're going to go. Why not just put it off the 3 days and get your sticks?
Okay, so it starts Tuesday, so it starts in 2 days. Really one if we're like today's over, and tomorrow's just it's like midnight. I assume on Tuesday it starts. Because I don't, even though I want to play, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna show people that I don't need to play. Even though it's fun and it's awesome and it's thrilling, I'm not gonna do it because I have willpower.
There's no way you stick to that.
We'll see. I guess the proof in the pudding will be in the not eating of it.
Paul has put a poll question to the audience. What are the chances that Cust doesn't do McDonald's Monopoly this year? What would you say, Jeremy? It's on you.
Right now for percentage?
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if there's even 8% saying that he sticks to this.
So what would be the chances that you would give him? Like you said a line.
If I have to set a line,
Yeah. Any McDonald's Monopoly, does Tim play or Tim doesn't play? What is yes? What is no? Like 98% yes, he plays.
yes, absolutely. If I'm paying odds, it's like 300 to 1.
Ye of little faith.
I have absolutely no faith.
Okay.
It's not little faith. It's
Okay.
devoid of faith.
What is the audience saying, Paul?
Well, I just here's the thing: is like if you go to like get McDonald's coffee, you're not gonna pull that sticker off, Top Cat.
I said I would pull it off, but I'm not getting a game board. So if it's not an instant win, I have nothing to add it to.
Throw it
Yeah,
out.
but you're gonna keep the sticker.
What if it's a rare piece? You're telling me that you're not gonna chase
Can you
it?
tell you were on the website looking at the rules, and can you share with the viewers some of the tips that McDonald'sMonopoly.com gave you?
Well, I don't remember the exact name of the website, but the number one tip I was given: if you want to win the big prizes, go early and often. that maximizes your chance to win. Now, there's great sense in that. That's purely logical. I don't know why that's so risible. I think it makes sense.
That McDonald's is telling you to go as much as you possibly can, as early as you can?
Play as much, spend as much from McDonald's.
Okay.
You don't see that.
I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, like, it's fun and you want to win. And
Many are saying you're already moving the goalposts.
I'm not moving. That's fine. They're welcome to believe whatever they want. They're just bitter that the Jets won. That's all it is.
Lane has a tip for you. Hide your board under your bed so no one else can find it, but you always know where it is.
No, I don't want to play that. I don't want to lie to you, the people. I have too much integrity for that. I just don't want to play.
What's the biggest win you've had from McDonald's Monopoly?
Just the Insta prizes. Oh, I won that skull candy thing, but you had to go online to get it, so I didn't know how to use it. So it was like a $200 voucher or something, but I didn't know how to use it, so it expired. I didn't know what to do with it. It's like, this is online. I can't do this.
Those are every prize that you're going to collect is going to be online.
Well, but
What's even the point? You win the Dodge Viper.
Yeah.
Do you still make those?
I don't know.
That's like the only McDonald's prize I can actually remember is the Dodge
Plymouth.
Viper.
The Plymouth Roadster used to be one of them.
You're going to have to do something to claim your
I'll
prize.
cross that bridge.
Did you
if
ever
I
think
come
about
to it.
this?
I'll come to that. I'll cross that bridge if and when I come to it, but I'm not going to because I'm not going to play.
Did you see that McDonald's has adult Happy Meals now?
I saw that, and it's for nostalgia purposes, I guess. But maybe this is more descriptive of my childhood. I didn't get Happy Meals when I was a kid. I got the full meal. So when I was 7, we were getting double quarter pounder meals after church. We weren't getting the Happy Meal, so I don't have the nostalgia for Happy Meals the way other people do. I had the 10-piece chicken McNugget or the double Big Mac or something.
Well, what if instead of giving you the toys from our childhood, they put in the Batman Forever mugs? That was something that you could
That
have.
would be
Some
legit.
Batman
And
remember
they
Batman
got
Pogs?
the mold still sticking around somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
In some storage unit. Make those again. Now that would bring people out.
Next score wins the game. Aaron Rodgers has the ball, by the way. So you think that Green Bay is reserved for the top story tomorrow should they end up losing this game?
Green Bay or what happens tonight. Yes, that could.
Yeah, but we don't know what happens
yeah,
tonight.
as of right now, yes. If Green Bay loses or does not win, I think they are going to be the top story.
You don't think that MVP, the two highest MVP candidates going head to head,
No.
one of them coming back from 20-3,
No, I think the national viewing public, I was right about this 2 weeks ago too. The national viewing public cares more about the Packers than anything's going on with Buffalo or Baltimore. I think the Packers move the needle. Now, the next number 2 could be in the A block, the Bills, Ravens, and what else could we talk about in terms of exciting games?
I'm actually thinking like Zach Wilson comes back, wins. Kenny Pickett gets in the game.
Yeah, they
for the
could
Steelers.
talk about that. They could talk about that.
Were you impressed by Pickett?
Yeah, he played really well. Buffalo's going to have their hands full with him next week. I'll say that. I don't know if Buffalo's going to lose, but if Pickett had played that whole game, I think there's a real chance that Pittsburgh would have won. I think he's decent. And Pittsburgh has stuff to be optimistic about. And like Buffalo was like a pushover. So if you play tough, just like last year when you showed them a little bit of adversity and you beat them, you could beat them again.
So in the soft game when they couldn't play in the elements, when they're like facing adversity, like today, let's say,
they prevailed, and I give them credit for that.
It doesn't seem like you did. You just called them soft again.
Well, they are still kind of soft. Like they didn't dominate and they didn't cover.
Well, they pushed.
Well, not on our show we didn't. On our show they lost. They were 3.5-point favorites at Baltimore.
No, they closed at 3. What else do we got here? What are the other stories? So I think Jets, Pittsburgh is in there. How about
Cowboys? How about them Cowboys and Cooper Rush?
I guess
Another win?
That was the laptop game for us. Like
it was, but like Cowboys moved the needle, and they're 3-1, and Cooper Rush hasn't lost a game.
Okay, do you think that there is a chance that Kornheiser and Wilbon are going back and forth, and they put up on the screen on their graphic Robert Griffin III, that Antonio Brown has more D than the Seahawks and Lions combined?
I think that's the story. For sure. If you ask me. You know?
I like that you didn't know about the video.
And you know what? It made my day once I did. So I feel like there's going to be more people like me for sure. So
Who are just finding this out now?
exactly.
Philly will be in the A block too. They're 4-0.
Yeah, I guess Philly,
They
the
come back.
last undefeated. I mean,
And they're Philly.
I guess maybe they've already litigated it, but we haven't had a PTI since Tua got hurt and gave the strong hand to the camera.
They would have one Friday.
Yeah, but now that guy's been fired.
Yeah, that could be discussed as well. Yeah, NFL safety.
So what do we think is going on here? That I think it was you who said like they just gave this guy the bag.
Oh no, well, I've read that online and people.
Do you believe it?
I'm not a conspiracist, so I don't actually think anything untoward happened. I have a steadfast rule, whether it comes to politics or this sort of stuff, is that incompetence can answer 95% of your problems. Never add to malice what you could easily chalk up to incompetence, because that's usually why something happens, because somebody doesn't know what they're doing. People are just faking it till they make it, far too often.
So what do you think happens with this? Like to the Dolphins? I mean, they've already lost draft picks for trying to like tank.
Well, I don't think it's on. I mean, I think in the end, because you have that independent person from the league who's supposed to make the ultimate call, he's the person who has to take the fall. He's the person for whom the responsibility really lies. Yes, the Dolphins shouldn't be putting out Tua, and it's certainly nothing to do with Tua. A player wants to play, and the Dolphins wanted him to play. But, like, it's on the league. The league screwed up badly. Everyone saw live that it was foolish. They talked about it all week, and they still let him play. It's a terrible look for a league that was – it seemed like it had been turning a bit of a corner on player safety. It hadn't been, like, the biggest topic of conversation for the last year and a half, and now all of a sudden it's right back – front and center, and deservedly so. Like, the heck's wrong with this league?
Yeah, I don't think it helps either that, like, the day that this happens, the next day the Antonio Brown stuff comes out.
That's not good either.
Because, I don't know. And then today, Antonio Brown tweeted out that he thinks that teams need Antonio Brown on them right now.
Crazy person.
Devonta Smith got hurt for a bit. Put him on the Eagles. That
No.
can only help team chemistry.
You can't have him anywhere.
I'm sure, right? It won't cause any issues whatsoever. Like, yeah, I mean, the guy's, he's an immense talent. He's one of the best people to ever play football in the last few years. But would any team want to take a risk on him, even after last year? Let alone what we're starting to see is, his his poolside etiquette is really like. I don't think anybody's going to take the chance on him. But that doesn't mean that he couldn't potentially help a team at least in a few plays
Until he runs off the field with his clothes off again, because he's a troubled person. He's a very troubled person.
Yeah, or they have a pool party, to celebrate a win. You never know what's going to happen, right? So no, I don't think anyone should take a chance on him. But I mean, I at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if a team did.
I would be surprised.
Well, as Tim mentioned, all the teams that would take a chance on him. Like all the teams that take chance on lunatics have already had Antonio
Yeah,
Brown.
like he's already gone through that car wash. Who's left?
I'm trying to think who would be left if you take out the Raiders, the Patriots, and now the Bucks.
Who are the people that don't care about your behavior? The Chiefs, maybe the Bengals.
Now, the new Bengals don't seem like they're on that,
No.
and they really don't need him.
They don't. So
Like the
the
Chiefs,
Chiefs, but like the Chiefs don't care what
the
you've done.
Rams.
They're circling with Odell Beckham. They
Yeah, but he's
continue
also circling with the Browns. Now the Browns, they were playing Shakira at wide receiver today.
The Browns are so bad.
The
The Browns are so bad.
Are they?
Those of us who said they weren't going to be good and were laughing, like, oh, no, they'll be fine.
Who laughed
When
you
I
out?
made that statement on the preview show at the start of the year, but this Browns team was one of the very worst in the AFC, I was laughed to scorn.
Well, they're
Well,
currently 2-2 and have two devastating losses in the fourth quarter.
Why do they have devastating fourth quarter losses? Because they're not that good.
Well, they're also playing Jacoby Brissett at quarterback.
Whose fault is that? They knew for the last 8 months.
You went through their schedule and had them at 1-9. They've already beat it.
Well, I'm just saying they knew from the start that they weren't going to have Watson, and they're not playing good football. I don't know who they play next, but they're in trouble.
But this reminds me of, you're constantly telling the public what they should like. And it sounds like if a team isn't good in the fourth quarter, they're just dead to you because
Well, you know what? That's kind of an important thing, Jeremy, to be good in the fourth quarter. But you know what? You're right. I believe that the responsibility of a Tribune at times is to instruct people when they've made a mistake. And so they sometimes do need to know that certain things are awesome that they may not know about.
what if they could cut a Subway sub the old way?
That would be legit. It's funny. Anybody who knows about the old cut says, "Oh yeah, that was much better." I don't know why they ever changed it because it was much better.
They changed it because it was much
No,
better?
I'm sure they had some sort of
Theorize.
Some
Give it,
hotshot
vamp on this.
Some hotshot VP needed a reason to argue for a promotion or a raise, so he had this brainwave that we should just cut it down the side. Nah, that'll be better. Who cares the way they eat their sandwich? People aren't sensitive about these sorts of things. Well, you know what? Maybe he was right, but it still is an inferior product because the wedge is like ergonomically perfect.
I didn't even bring this up to do this, but I have to ask, how does it make it better? It's the same
It holds
ingredients.
everything in so much better.
Do you
How?
find that stuff is constantly falling out of your sub?
No. Well, yes, like meatball subs, for example. Stuff's always falling.
How
out of
often are
those.
you eating meatball subs?
Not often enough because the people won't
That's
put them
why
the
you
whole
stopped
way.
eating it. That's why you stopped eating meatball subs
Yes,
from Subway.
that's the number one reason.
Listen, I will give credence to the Subway meatball sub when
It's
I
the
was
best.
like 16.
Oh, it's
It was-
so
it's
good.
a
When
good
was the
sub.
last time you had a Subway meatball sub?
Oh, it wasn't that long ago because honestly, I do think the meatball sub is good.
It's so gross.
I really
Ah, it's
well, it's got to be hot, right? You want it hot. You want to heat
Toasted
it up.
or like soft bread?
I don't really actually like the toasted.
I don't like the
me neither.
toasted.
I'd rather
I'm
put it
not-
in a
I'm not on
microwave
team
or
toast
something
either.
like that.
No, don't
but
care
I
for it.
do like the meatball sub. The thing is, you kind of have to get the double meatball sub because they'll give you like 3
Yeah,
meatballs.
see, now
or
you're
whatever.
speaking my language.
So there's some, stipulations.
I see.
But it is a good sub.
I feel like the meatball sub at Subway defeats the purpose of going to Subway. Like, the purpose of going to Subway, the only reason to go to Subway is because you're in a rush and you don't want to consume 2,000 calories. Well, now you're at the door because it's the worst possible. You might as well get the 2-for-1 meal at McDonald's. It's the same thing.
Sometimes you're not in a rush though, and
But- and
sometimes
you
you
just
don't
want
care
something
about-
delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could go to anywhere else.
That's just you generalizing why you go to Subway.
I am.
Assuming
I mean, I assume
everybody else
that's
must do
why-
what Pat does.
Why would anyone else go to Subway and eat like I don't know.
Jeremy just described why. Because
You
you're
would-
not in a rush.
would-
You want something delicious.
Then you would rather go to Subway than McDonald's. With calories the same, health the same.
Depends
that's
how
what
many
you're
times
doing.
I've been to McDonald's that week. And I'm
Whether
always
or not
like,
Monopoly's playing,
season?
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You guys are fucking nuts. Subway is like objectively gross.
you don't know what you're
And
talking
it's-
about. You don't know what you're talking about.
Their chicken isn't even 50% chicken.
It's still delicious. I don't care what it's made of. It's delicious.
And their bread's more cake than bread, but
So
you know what?
what?
It tastes
Who
pretty
cares?
good.
It's
I don't
delicious.
mind, right? It's pretty good.
I just think if you're going to get fast food, which is what it is, and that's what you pick, it's only got to be because you're trying to cut calories. That's all I can
you
think
go
of.
ahead and keep judging the people,
I will.
but you're wrong.
Like
to
if
do
you're
so.
if that's what you're doing, I gotta say, you guys are both fucking.
I
morons.
don't
I'm
disrespect
not
the choices
saying
of the
it's
people.
5-star. I'm just saying, regardless of how they cut the sub, I'll probably have a decent time ordering a sandwich. at
Jeremy's
Subway.
right. He's dead on the money there.
Did we ever figure out what the flags on the helmets were for?
Well, didn't it say it was International Flag Day or something? There was some sort of vexillological thing going on with the NFL.
I was confused all day long where Tim just kept pausing games to point out what flags were on
There's
people's
Croatia.
helmets.
There's Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a few and I was like, yeah, okay, he's right. But there were some when I was just I have no way of knowing whether that's actually what it is or if Tim's just flexing on us. But it happened numerous times today.
I think it has something to do with the London game, like maybe the international series. Try to get all these other, like, you know, shout out Croatia.
Packers win.
Oh, Packers win? So is now that they've won in overtime, is it still the lead story?
No, not now.
Are
Now it's
the-
probably Philadelphia.
Are the Packers a Ponzi scheme? New question for the week.
Basically, yes. They're not as good as they seem.
Do
They're
they-
not bad, but the NFC is, other than maybe Philadelphia, but they haven't played anybody. But Philadelphia seems like they're pretty darn good.
Can you do me a favor and please stop talking
I
about
said,
Philadelphia?
hey, look, they were my super lock this week, and they won and covered. Now they're part of this portfolio. Like I'm invested in the Eagles a little bit. I have no brief for them. I don't like or dislike them. I just think that they're decent, and I don't think they play anybody good. And everyone in the NFC East is also like real bad. And like Dallas maybe could get their act together if Prescott came back. But I don't know. It's just like you look at the NFC, you got the Packers and the Vikings. Like the Vikings are 2-2 or 3-1, but like the Vikings have real problems and barely escape against New Orleans. The Lions can't stop destroying themselves, and Chicago's terrible. So like Green Bay is a Ponzi scheme, but like they may be able to get away with it for the whole year. This might be the year 2004, and they may just get away with the Ponzi scheme the whole time, not 2008, where they get caught.
If the season ended today, I would cash my Atlanta Falcons make the playoffs bet.
I think it's great that the Falcons are playing good for you.
7 completions. I stacked I played 20 lineups on DraftKings this week, 10 in 10. Mariota, Pitts, Drake London, and Nick Chubb on 10 teams. I think Mariota, London, and Pitts combined for 8 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw Jimmy Garoppolo win an NFC Championship game with like 5 completions. So it can happen if you're
Yeah,
playing
but their
football.
defense isn't good. The Niners' defense was good.
Yeah, because the Falcons were playing a really bad team. And the Browns.
The Browns beat the great, as I was told, Carolina Panthers in week 1.
I wasn't making that case.
Hey, Roberto just texted me, actually.
Oh, did he? Well, he got his super lock.
He did hit his super.
His gold pick, sorry.
His goal pick New England to cover the spread.
Good for him. It had to be the right side. You can't lay that kind of points with the Packers. You can't.
Did Cam hit his gold pick?
Who was Cam's gold pick?
I don't remember who Cam's gold pick was because I hit mine, he hit his. See if we're sweeping the board again with gold picks. I'm sure someone will probably remember that. Yeah, we didn't watch much of the Dallas. Oh, you didn't like Washington's jerseys?
They look like the Steelers. Those are awful. Like burgundy and gold are actually a really sweet color set for their uniforms.
They're pretty slick, are they?
I think burgundy and gold is classy and clean and rich looking and nice. Like, why are you adding black? They looked horrific. Whoever designed them should be in prison.
I could see you in a nice 3-piece burgundy and gold suit.
I think it looks super classy.
Will the Steelers be better now that they have Pickett at quarterback? Like, will they now win games?
I think yes, probably so.
Would the Colts win games if they started Nick Foles?
The Colts are such a train wreck. Last week's win
It was a gift to us this week with the Titans.
Everyone had to know that was a mirage. And like as much as everybody knew that the Colts were the side because the Chiefs would screw off last week, everyone had to know this week the Colts being favored by 3.5 was again criminal. And they played Denver on Thursday night, and like I like the Colts in that game because I really like Denver lost, right? 25-23? Denver lost 25-23? That game over? The Denver Raiders game?
Oh, it's 32-23.
For the Raiders.
Yes, the Broncos did not cover my 2.5.
I'm sorry
They
to
gave
hear
up the
that.
late touchdown to Josh Jacobs.
Sorry to hear that for you. But like, yeah, they play on a Thursday. Like, I hate the Colts. I hate the Broncos. I think the Colts are probably going to win that game on the road.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, the Colts are terrible. A
David-
lot of teams I despise right now.
Davis Mills was almost the boy who ruined Yom Kippur. Because Jeff was not feeling it. Getting some very anxious texts from Jeff after what were the Chargers up 24-0 in that game?
He knew. I mean, the Chargers won, and all credit to them, and they covered their number. But, like, that's the worst team they're going to play for a while. And they covered, but they didn't look too dandy doing it. So I don't know. There's still trouble in the Chargers. But hey, you got the win, and that's what matters.
It would have been worth the price of admission just watching Jeff sweat that one today, for sure.
Oh, no. I've only ever watched one football game with Jeff in my life. And he ended up...
Really?
Where's the flag? Where's the flag? Where's the flag?
It is...
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, he does his countdowns after every play to make sure that there's no flag on the play. And he's like, Tim gets mad, and he starts doing the Emperor Palpatine at the screen.
No, my arm gets sore. My arm was getting sore.
You tried to force choke someone.
No, I didn't. That's all hearsay.
Yeah, you were fucking Chris Elliott. Give him a strong hand, child. Right at the screen, trying to screw up Kenny Pickett. But Jeff is just mad the entire game. He paces the entire game, and the shit that comes out of his mouth is foul. And he ended up leaving without paying his bill. Because the Chargers lost, and like he was distraught.
Remember, people, to vote for Jeff in this year's awards.
Is this just Chargers games, or
just
is this
Chargers
any
game
game he's really
No, just
involved
Chargers
in?
games.
Oh, really? So he was well behaved as DJ was choking away the U.S. Open.
That's not a football game.
Okay, but he said it's just Chargers.
I don't know. I wasn't with him.
You were there when he it was a Monday, that U.S. Open, was it not? He was
No.
pacing around in his box.
That was not. That was on Thursday. He was pacing around in his
Okay,
box.
okay.
And he wasn't mad then. He was just like stressed out the entire time, trying to work it through.
And we see what you're doing here. You're politicking to try to get him
Well,
to win
because-
the award of most
Did you see
insane.
the
not gonna work.
shit-eating grin on his face after the Jets won, and he was just on Jets Reddit? Paul, is it possible to throw Jets Reddit up in that screen right now, like the front page of Jets Reddit? Because I'm looking at it right now. And well, actually, you know what? I'm going to save it for you. You can give us some live commentary on what Jets Reddit is going to... Is that impossible?
Turn on and I could do it, but you have to give me a little bit.
All right, you figure that part out. I want to talk about this poker hand before we get too much time.
I would be surprised if there isn't a number of posts from T. Anderson.
No, I'm not a poster.
87
I'm not a poster. I'm not a poster.
Until today, maybe?
I'm not a poster.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, poker. You're the expert. You were the dealer.
Yeah, so people have seen the hand. If they haven't seen the hand, like, what are you, not on the internet? You're watching this on YouTube. You've seen the fucking hand at this point.
I've seen it, and I'm barely on the internet.
But are you the maven of the internet?
I'm a maven of pop culture.
Okay.
When we talked about having The Graduate on the thumbnail for this, I'm pretty sure that Paul thought it was American Pie, for one thing. Not The Graduate. Paul? Yeah, the picture that's in front of the desk right here.
Facts.
Yeah, and you know
I thought it was Stifler,
that
who
works too.
also bangs. Didn't he?
Yes,
Yep.
but like
No.
it's
No, it was Finch, wasn't it?
If
Well,
Finch
Finch-
banged Stifler's
yes.
mom.
Yes,
Yes.
that's
My
what
bad.
it was.
But like-
Someone in the movie.
it's Dustin Hoffman, it's Anne Bancroft. It's one of the most iconic scenes in all of cinema.
I don't think you were here earlier. You told us, like, well, everyone knows Anne Bancroft.
No.
Everybody knows Anne
It's a
Bancroft.
movie that came out in the 60s.
She was married to Mel Brooks, for God's sake.
I didn't hear him say that, but I know that he said
She was
that.
married to Mel Brooks.
If you said to me, someone said, everyone knows Anne Bancroft, who said this line? There's only one answer.
It's like when you asked him about the steaks earlier. Is this place any good? Yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's a place that we know does not have good steak, and I think that is in their name. And Tim would tell you that's the best place you could get.
No, I wouldn't say it's the best place. But it's they don't have Wagyu. But it's very good steak.
If you say so.
I
mean-
okay, well, I'm the one who's saying it, so I do say so.
Right, and basically anyone else who's been there is not bragging about it.
Well,
but-
and yet people come back day after day after every senior's day. It's always busy. People are going there because it's good food and it's accessible and cheap.
I have what I thought was an iron stomach. Like nothing upsets my stomach whatsoever, and I ate there, and I felt horrible for like the next 24
But it
hours.
wasn't
It's
the steak that made you sick.
Who knows what it was? It was something that I ate when I went there. That's all I know. And I mean, we're being a little vague. We were supposed to talk about poker. We can.
Oh,
we
yeah.
can do that.
So the poker hand, the cheating poker hand, as people would say. I might be wrong on this. You're firmly on team, it was cheating. I am firmly on team, it's not cheating. Only because I've played poker with you, and that is something you would do. I'm the bluff hunter. I'll call you down with Jack High. I don't care how much money
That's
it
because
is.
people are always trying to bluff me in poker. They're always trying to get me to lay down a full house because I'm sure you have a straight flush. They love that.
Now, you
Right.
were a poker dealer in poker rooms for, 6, 7 years?
Yep.
So you've seen some shit.
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff. And, you know, there is a point where you can just call somebody because you think they're bluffing. But there becomes a point when you need to have something in order to make that call, right? Like you can't just call them down. You also have nothing, but they were bluffing. Well, what are you proving here? This hand that we're talking about, if you ask me, I believe the player in question had Jack 4, and it was a Jack high. And she called him saying that, I thought you had ace high. And he said, yeah, well, you had Jack high, so why are you calling? I think the 4 and the ace, they look kind of alike. I think she thought she had ace Jack, and she thought she had ace high, but it was a better ace high, and that's why she made the call. I can't explain how you could possibly do it other than that, right? I mean, does that seem that crazy? Because this is also a televised poker hand. So if she's just paying because she wants to see what the guy has, you could just fold and not spend the $100,000 and go home and see it later. So
Tim has stopped paying attention to you, and he's looking at Jets Reddit now. Oh, upvote Tim. Upvote this franchise QB.
Let's click on that.
Yeah, well, let's see. People are upvoting it. 103 comments already, Tim. What do you think they all say? If you had to guess. You have to speak into the microphone.
I can't look at the microphone and look at the comments at the same time. I'm sure they're legit.
What did you just blind taste test? You're commenting on this. What's Tim's comment?
Zach looked great for his first game back.
Big boy throws by Zach when it mattered most today.
Did I not just say that to you, the people?
Bring me the fucking receipts of every motherfucking doomer in this game thread.
There's a lot of doomers on that thread, too.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there's quite a few, unfortunately. I assume they're like Dolphins fans going to troll or something.
So you don't think it was cheating then, or you do think it was cheating, Jeremy?
That's an interesting point you made about about Ace Jack, because she does say, "I thought you had Ace high."
And why
would you call with a worse hand if you think I'm calling to lose the hand? Like, that is sketchy. So maybe she did think she had an ace and a jack.
Yes, I dealt poker for years, and certainly cheating is possible. And the way, this guy described it, so you could have something on you that tells you that you have the best hand. And if those type of devices exist, then yeah, she could have done that. I don't know anything about that. I'm just saying, maybe that's what it was. But at the same time, you would know when you make that call, even though you have the best hand, everyone's going to see what you did. And they're going to question it. They're going to say, well, how on earth are you make a questionable call, then you make an impossible call, and then you make a completely nonsensical call, and you rake in the pot. The only explanation that I can think of is that the Jack 4, she thought it was a Jack and an ace. She thought her ace was better than his ace, which is a hero call if you make it. And when you flip it over, yeah, you still have the best hand, but it might be, and yeah, I've seen some stuff in these poker rooms, the dumbest call in the history of people playing card games.
So you've never seen one worse than that?
No, I've seen some pretty bad ones. Like I remember, sometimes there'd be like older people who literally go there for entertainment. And I remember somebody making a call, and they had whatever the stipulation was. This is like 15 years ago. And they literally said out when someone said, why are you calling? How did you make that call? And they said, well, I've had bad luck today, so I thought I was due. And it's like, that's not how poker works. Yeah, eventually you're going to have a good hand, but just because you have a terrible hand right now, it doesn't mean that you're gonna suck something out on the river and win that hand, and you're willing to bet your entire stack on it. So yeah, people make terrible calls, but you also expect that people who are professional or semi-professional are playing high stakes games on television know what they're doing.
See, I think that she plays in these games. So I don't have all the background on this. I don't think she's like a player though. She knows the rules. She drew the card. Rules of draw and stud poker. You're supposed to take these out of the deck. That's part of the problem too. Is everybody we're all just seeing that one hand. We're not watching the half an hour of the show beforehand to see how she played other hands and things like that. Benefit of the doubt, I would assume that everybody at that table with the stakes that they're playing knows what they're doing, and it's very easy to look down and misread your hand, or even you remember your hand improperly, and then you don't look at it a second time or a third time, and all of a sudden when you flip it over, it's not what you thought you had. I think that's the most logical explanation. Now, most people, like most pros who are actually in the mix, do think it was something was going on that was foul play. They're not sure what it was, how it was done, but that I mean, she gave the money back to him.
Yeah, that's an interesting part.
Like, that's just weird.
Why would you ever give the money?
I don't know.
I mean, even okay, if you're cheating, but that's not, like
I feel like it's less likely that you'd give the money back if you were cheating. 'Cause
And
it's like
that-
an admission
that
of guilt.
Too. That too, it is kind of an admission of guilt. But if it's not proven that you were cheating, whatever, like if you weren't doing that, you won the hand. It's like it's a legal transaction, right? That money was given to you. For you to give it back, yeah, like you said, it seems like you're admitting that you were at fault. You did something that you shouldn't have to like amass that pot. Whereas if you won it because you made a great call, then that guy has absolutely no claim to his money. He lost it fair and square. So, yeah, it's a weird one.
What's the worst bad beat you ever saw?
I dealt a one-outer once. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember the guy put all his money in. He got called. He stood up and he was leaving. And I dealt the one card in the deck because
It was like the case 5 or something.
exactly. and it was like he came back screaming, like running back into
It's
the
very
into
bad
the
form to
poker
get
room.
up from the table like that and walk away.
That's how dead he was. Like he was done. So, and that kind of stuff happens every once in a while, like,
But you said that like being a dealer at a cash game is about the most boring thing you can do.
oh yeah. I mean, tournaments were okay because you kind of, if you were dealing to somebody and you saw them and you thought they were playing a pretty good game, then you're almost kind of, you have no way of affecting the game, but you're sort of like, oh, maybe, this guy's a nice guy or something. Maybe he'll go pretty far. I hope, she wins or he wins or something. But a cash game never ends. It's like too many cooks, right? Like it just keeps going and going, and your shift feels longer than ever because you're doing it.
Did you ever encounter any shenanigans?
Besides like
Well,
drunk. Like,
well, drunk's different.
Any cheating, or
Yeah,
is it more
sort of
basically
on
just
line with
crazy
what we were
people?
chatting about with Jack 4.
There was always the kind of stuff where like certain people would leave the table at the same time as certain other people. And you're sitting at the table. You can't go and follow them through the casino and find out. But I definitely think that some people would sit at the table together and maybe not play hands against each other.
Well,
that sort of
I
thing.
mean, we used to play. There'd be times where like me and 2 of my friends would go down, and like we'd all end up at the same table, and we'd try to be like, hey, let's not play hands against each other. And somehow it would just be the 3 of us in pots the entire night, taking each other's money. That's just how it ended up turning out.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're just doing it, you're there to have fun. You're doing it after the bar or something.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. But there could very well be the guys who go there specifically
To do that.
To say, stay out of a pot, or like if I, bet 3 times the big blind, that I actually have something. Get out of my way. Don't get in. I think a lot of that stuff happens, but I never saw anything that like I needed to call the pit boss over and say there's some shady stuff going on here. No.
The people need to know, Top Cat, who is going to score the first touchdown tonight?
I think that Edwards Hilaire will score the first touchdown.
He is 10-1. If you would like to roll with Tim here and go 10-1 on Clyde Edwards Hilaire, who is not going to score the first touchdown in this game?
Mike Evans.
Really? Why? What is the explanation behind
Hasn't
that?
played in a week, rusty, and I think Brady, people anticipate they're going to go to Evans in the end zone because they always go to Evans. He's going to not look at Evans. He's going to throw in another direction. That's what I believe.
So we need to... We're 1 for 1 with this. Justin Fields cashed us at 22-1. We do this every week of the year. We can't be down money on Tim's who's not going to score the first touchdown bet. So there it is, folks. Mike Evans, 8-1. I was hoping for a juicier one. I was hoping you were going to say, I don't know, like Patrick Mahomes. Or your boy, Jerick McKinnon, 22-1.
I had to say what I believe to be true.
All right, so Mike Evans, first touchdown, 8-1. We're going to try to get that on. What else did I have on here before we get to the very quick guest lines? This guy from UK just talked into us here. He said that if you go on the app during Monopoly in the UK, you get double stickers.
Thanks.
Can you do that here?
I don't know.
You should see. Well, you're always on the app. That's how you know 2 can dine. 2 can dine for this much
I don't
money.
want to know, okay? God, it's just so much fun.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
Just play.
Just play.
Prove
right?
that I can. I don't
Who are
have
you
to do
proving
it.
it to?
Yeah.
All of your friends are
When I
telling you
don't,
to
I'll
do
get
it.
so. But I will get so much credit if I don't.
From
play.
who?
From all kinds of people.
Like who? Name one.
You'll give me credit.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you'll come on this very
Oh,
show.
I will think it's really pathetic that
No,
you've done this.
You will come on this show and give me fulsome credit, and that will be great.
Last year, you set aside $1,000 for this,
Yes.
right? what are you going to do with the $1,000 you apparently are not going to spend?
That's a very good question.
You can
So-
reward yourself.
That's a very good question, Jeremy. I don't know.
I remember telling my girlfriend, I say, he's put aside $1,000
Yeah, but that's not that much
for
money.
for
not that much
Monopoly
money, is it?
McDonald's, and she was just like, "There's like seriously, how would you do that? How long does it go? 2 months?
No,
how
a
much
month.
you
But
spending?
you're doing 2-a-days.
You make it sound like it's going to the gym.
Well, he couldn't be Mr. Olympia. He has to. He's still training with the same
He's
intensity.
the Mr. Olympia of McDonald's
If
Monopoly.
you're trying to win, like you're doing 2-a-days.
Oh, Mike Evans, $750.
Is there ever like more than 2-a-days?
Yes,
Those happen.
particularly towards the end when you're getting down to the short strokes and you're like, I need to try to get as
Well,
many.
why,
of
why
these
are you
in.
going late? They told you should only go early.
Yeah,
Why
but you're
early
all,
and
but at
often?
that point you're out of days, right?
You're,
like,
you're chasing losses
there's
at
4
that
days
point.
left, and I need to scoop up as many stickers as possible. Get those sticks.
All right, let's get to the Week 5 lines. Very quickly, Tim, it's going to be you. Do you want to play? You want to guess the lines with Tim or no?
Sure.
All right. So next week's games, we have Thursday night. We'll go Tim first, then you, then Jeremy, then Tim. Is how we're going to do this. Indianapolis Colts at Denver Broncos. Immediate thought. You got 2 seconds.
Broncos by 3.
Okay, no need to do this. You win. Broncos by 3 is the correct line. Jeremy, Giants at Packers.
It's in London.
It's in London. The Ponzi scheme Packers.
Oh, and they're in London.
10:30 a.m. start.
Packers by 1.5.
No. Packers by 6.
7.5 for the Packers.
That's a lot.
They're still buying the Packers.
That's a lot.
Who knows when they're in London?
Yeah, I suppose.
That's a lot.
It's although the teams look normal today.
Yeah.
Vikings played like the Vikings
And
normally
the
do.
Saints play like they usually play.
But they're not playing at Lambeau. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah, I guess so. They never lose at Lambeau.
It's a lot of points.
We were told that, unless it's the playoffs.
It's a lot of points.
Falcons at oh, this is a big game for my Falcons playoff bet. Falcons at Bucks.
At Bucks, Buccaneers by 4.5.
4.5.
Falcons at Bucks. Bucks by 6.5.
8.5. Tampa Bay. Jeremy does get that one though. Back to you.
Wowzers.
Texans at Jags. Your most hated Jags. No good.
The Jags are terrible.
Jeremy goes first here?
Yeah.
Not a big Texans fan this year either, though. Did you say Texans at Jags?
Correct.
Jags by 2.5.
Jags by 6.
7. You are really underrating some of these favorite teams.
But they're terrible.
I don't think they're terrible. I think they're fine. I think the Jags are actually pretty good. Trevor Lawrence fumbled 4 times today.
I didn't like that Packers line at all, but I kind of like the Jags there.
All right, Seahawks at Saints.
Oh, boy. Saints by 3.
Saints by 3. Incorrect.
Seahawks at Saints.
At New Orleans.
Saints by 4.5.
Saints by 5. I think Seattle might be my super lock.
No, I don't think it's going to be it. That's a, nah.
You say potato, I say potato.
Okay, we'll start with you on this one. Steelers at Bills. With Kenny Pickett at quarterback, presumably, for Pittsburgh.
Bills by 9.5.
9.5?
8.
14.
Oh, get lost. Get lost.
I can see it, though.
No, that's ridiculous.
Like,
Is
the
it?
Steelers are bad.
Yeah, but that Bills haven't proven they should. Anyway,
You
sure.
just don't like the Bills.
You really hate the Bills. And now you have to pretend like the Steelers are good because the Jets beat them.
Well, anyway, that's a lot of points. That's a
Yeah,
big number.
It's a two-pronged bit of
that's a big number.
BS here.
Bears at Vikings.
Vikings by 9.
Nope.
Vikings by 6.5.
7. You do get this one. You really caught up after some poor luck. Were you trying to help Tim out here? Picking
No.
the wrong lines to juice up Tim's score?
No, but it's like
He's got a
a
buzzer
broken
here.
clock.
You
right?
get a buzzer telling you if he's too high or too low?
That's right. Paul's zapping me, so I'll know. Go
Li-
higher or lower.
Lions at Patriots, Jeremy.
Lions at Patriots. Oh, give me. Oh man, that one. That's a tough one. Lions 2.5.
Patriots by 4.
It's actually New England 2.5.
Yeah, Patriots by 4. Yeah, so it's New England by 2.5.
By 2.5, yeah.
Yeah.
So you do get that one. Dolphins at Jets. What are they capping this one at?
Dolphins by 5.5.
Dolphins by 5.5. No Tua, presumably.
Yeah, I hope not. Oh my goodness, for his sake.
Dolphins 3.5.
Dolphins 3 is the answer. A lot of respect for the Jets. They can't see you on the camera given the weird nod here. Titans at Washington.
Titans by 3.5.
Titans by 3.5. In Washington.
Titans 1.5.
Titans 2.5. You guys split the difference.
Okay.
Chargers at those awful Cleveland Browns.
Pick 'em.
Pick 'em. Okay. But the Browns are awful.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the books think that.
It's not a pick 'em.
Browns 2.5.
Chargers by 3.
Okay.
Niners at the Ponzi scheme Panthers. And obviously this is going to be dictated by what happens on Monday night, but
San Francisco by 7.5.
7.5 on the road against Carolina is Tim's pick.
San Fran 3.5.
4.5 is the line.
That was my next guess.
Cowboys at Rams.
Rams by 4.
Rams by 4.
Rams 5.5.
Rams 6. Eagles at the Cardinals. This one's for you.
World champion Philadelphia.
World champion Philadelphia Eagles, yes.
At Arizona.
Yeah.
Eagles by 3.5.
3.5, Tim?
5.
6. A lot of respect on the
We'll take
road
it. We'll take it.
for the Eags. Sunday night, Bengals at Ravens, Tim.
Ravens by 3.
That is correct. Raiders at Chiefs Monday night.
Chiefs by 3.5.
Chiefs by 3.5?
No, I changed that to 4.5. I
To
want to go 4.5.
4.5 is what Tim is saying. That is incorrect.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's still higher than that. Give me 6.5.
6.5 is correct. On Monday evening, Raiders at the Chiefs. Sunday Night Football is going to start. If people missed it, you still have time to go bet Mike Evans' first touchdown on this game. I have no real... Do you have I'm not betting this game outside of this first touchdown. I don't really care. Before you get... I mean, you're in from across the country to watch the games with us. You have Tim on the set. Is there anything that you want to ask him, Cust Corner related, a topic that just springs to your mind? I'm very curious.
One thing, because when we talked about it on the panel show, we thought we had a lock, and that was the most insane take, maybe, I think it was. You get in the shower, and then you turn the water on. Anyone I've talked to is like, there's not a person on the planet who does this. It didn't even end up winning. I'm just wondering, I know you don't think any of these things are insane. What did you think was going to win? Did you think that was when you heard that we thought, this has to be number one?
I wish I could remember all the topics
that you said.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the topics because I didn't think that was all that insane. Like, I don't like to waste the water. I was raised to get in and turn the shower on. Oh my goodness. 2 whole seconds of cold, which is good for you, by the way. Oh my goodness. What a hard.
But why do it?
Yeah, but you're also talking about saving water, but you take 2 showers a day.
It's sometimes even more than that in the summer.
Who's wasting water now?
Sorry, I don't like grime. I like to be clean.
Well, why are you getting so sweaty? Maybe you shouldn't eat McDonald's twice a day.
Yeah, well, fair enough. That's a separate question, isn't it?
I think they tie together.
I'm not surprised that it didn't win because I don't think it's nearly as strange as you think it is.
Well, maybe, you know what, because you're the tribune of the people, right? And something that Pat's talked about a lot is being good at travel. And I just was on a plane.
Yes.
No masks.
No masks.
We're the last country on earth who had masks on planes.
The first day of no masks. It's true.
And people were like, "Give me my masks back. I need it."
There, you know what? Most people weren't wearing masks. There were a few people. I mean, honestly, like if you went to one of those like eyes wide shut orgies, you'd see more masks than you saw on this plane.
Well, you have to have a mask.
Yeah, right. And I mean, even if it was just 3 or 4 people. But
I knew that was coming.
When it comes to the etiquette of being on a plane, getting on a plane, all that kind of stuff, I know Pat's talked about it a lot. I don't know that we've got your take. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong when I'm at the airport?
Okay, so I like to get there as early as possible. I like being in airports. It's kind of like being at a mall.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a cool place to be. I don't get to go all that often. I like to go nice and early. I like to get on as quickly as possible because I don't check a bag. I will never check a bag.
Never.
So I suppose if I went away for a month or something.
Incorrect.
But even then, I
never
would
check a bag.
I just wouldn't check a bag.
Book a hotel that has laundry services.
That's a great idea. So I need that overhead space for my bag. I must have it. My legs are long. I'm not sticking it under the seat. That would be extraordinarily uncomfortable. I am going to get that overhead. I'm on team recline my seat.
No.
My seat reclines. I paid for the functionality of it. I'm going to use it if I see fit.
Well, that's because you're a main character,
No.
and you don't think that people exist around you.
Oh, so I should be uncomfortable for your sake.
How much comfort do you really get by reclining your airplane chair?
It-
None.
it gives-
There's
because
literally no difference.
I am taller than you, and that little bit makes a difference sometimes.
So
No,
I
main
it's not.
character syndrome.
I did the, you pay up. It's not first class, but it's
The middle tier.
Yeah, and it gives you some extra leg room. So I'm
great
behind the bulkhead. I've got all the leg room in the world.
That's different. You
And
don't
normally I don't recline my chair because I'm on Pat's team on this one. So would you in that situation?
I don't think so, because then I've got all the leg room I need. I'm already comfortable.
You see, I think it goes the other way because the further up you get in the plane, the more the recline actually helps you turn into like an actual recliner, like your first class seat. Reclines way better than the one in couch.
I'm sure that is true.
And you're not really infringing on the territory of the people behind you in first class
Their
because you
territory.
have so much room to begin
Look,
with.
the seat is expensive enough.
No, it's not.
If it's such a problem, then airlines can disable that functionality. Problem solved.
So-
if there's such a groundswell against it, disable that functionality.
I think it's just common courtesy.
You don't check a bag, and I'm on board with that. I understand what
You
you're
check
saying.
the dog.
And I had a dog, right? So I'm bringing a dog. She's too big to come with me.
But what if
Gotta
it was
check
your
the dog.
support dog? Could you have like a Dr. Nick Riviera you could go to write
Apparently-
you a script?
Apparently, you can do that, and you could bring a Great Dane on, and it could take up more room, around your seat than you do, and it's totally fine. And the airlines can't say anything. I'm not doing that though. My dog was fine underneath all that stuff. But when I went there, they said, "Are you checking a bag?" And I said, "Well, no." And they said, "But the flight is full, so you can check it for free if you want." Would you do it in that situation?
No. It's not worth the
the whole
aggravation.
point is you don't have to wait around.
'Cause
They can't lose it if you have it in your overhead.
You could
container.
have to stand around and wait for like 45 minutes in some instances. to
You,
get
you
your
make
bag.
you make it sound like I'm going to land and
No,
leave
but
without my dog.
I know. Well, no, I know.
I gotta wait for a dog.
So in the instance where you have to wait for your dog already, actually, then it's justifiable.
No.
I still wouldn't do it.
I disagree.
I still wouldn't do it because you're still increasing the chances of them losing your
That's
stuff.
what it is.
So
They're
I
not
get
gonna
that.
they're not gonna lose your dog. They might lose your luggage.
So while I would not do it, I think it's far more justifiable than if you didn't have anything else to check.
There was a time when carrying on wasn't as prevalent as it is now. I imagine you both have checked bags in the past.
Oh, sure.
Have they ever lost your luggage?
I have, yeah.
I've had to get 2 days later, my bag shows up.
It's not as
Okay.
bad if you're flying
All
from
right.
direct one place to another. Usually that goes
If there's
pretty
a connection?
seamlessly. But I mean, you're from here. You've done some traveling from here. How often are you taking a straight shot to somewhere?
Never.
You're always
It
connecting. The
basically never
moment
happens.
you have to connect anywhere, you're absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
Those bags are God knows where.
You want to know, because this is the first time I flew with a dog, and I came out of the gate and then turned around and I watched through the window and watched the dog came down the ramp. People gave it some water. They treated it really well. They put it back on the ramp once it was fueled up. I kept my eye on the dog.
Do you put food in with the dog? How does that work?
No,
They
but
get airline peanuts.
I think you give her pretzels. Yeah, I think if it was a really really long one, then somebody was probably going to feed them. In this case, it's just like 2 short flights, so they give them water in between. But no, I they're like, you can fill this out, and if you have food that we need to give them, then you can do that. I'm like, I'm going to see her in 4 hours. It's
Yeah, I also hate showing up to the airport early. Show up as late as possible. Use your priority to walk right through security or your Nexus or whatever it is. Then go straight to the lounge for a drink and hop on the plane.
Okay, well, you and I have different priorities, though. I kind of enjoy being at the airport beforehand.
I-
I like looking
why?
at the shops. I like seeing.
You don't buy anything at the airport.
I like to see the people. I like to walk around. To me, it's an enjoyable experience.
The only time I would show up early was in Toronto because they have a gym at the airport. Show up, go to the gym. The number one tip that anyone can have is either lift heavy the moment before you get on the plane or lift heavy the moment you get out. As soon as you get to the hotel, put your bags in your room, go down to the gym, and just lift whatever they have there as heavy as possible for 20 minutes. You will cure jet lag.
Okay.
really,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
It'll get you're so puffy from just being up in that altitude. You can just sweat that out, work that out, get your strength back, and all of a sudden you just feel a whole lot better. Paul, are you telling us we're over time?
No, I was wondering do you do that at the local airport here? Because there's absolutely nothing in that airport.
There are lounges.
There's an A&W.
You say there's a lot of lounges. There is one
There's
lounge.
a Maple Leaf Lounge.
Yeah, and do you have Maple Leaf Lounge access?
No, I don't.
You should. You deserve it.
Yeah,
Well,
you-
I do.
The way
deserve
you
it.
talk about airports, like big airports should reach out to you.
I like
and
airports.
give you
I think
that
airports are
access.
fun. Like that Tom Cruise movie, to me wasn't a nightmare. I mean, it would that you could
Tom
never-
Hanks movie.
Tom Hanks movie. Sorry. I mean, it would
like
be that you
Top Gun.
Could, yeah. It would be that you could never leave.
But you, so you,
spending a lot
you're,
of time in an airport.
so
would be
you
fun.
like lounges, like you're a fan of lounges in airport. You just don't go into them.
I have been to them in the past.
You're like Michael Scott.
I've
know-
been to them
You're
in
a
the past.
fan of them.
You
But-
know there are lounges outside of airports.
Yes, I'm aware.
You don't attend those either.
No, I don't. Not usually. But you know what? Airports are it's a fun. If traveling is already grueling, make as much fun of it as you can.
But it's not fun. That's why not being there is the best fun you can have, because you can spend your time doing literally anything else that isn't super stressful.
Well, again, it's as stressful as you want to make it for yourself.
In your defense, sir, 5 a.m. at the airport, Chili's was popping off.
I bet it was.
that the
I'm not
only place
exaggerating.
open?
It was full.
You sent me a picture.
It was it not full?
It was full.
bet
Was it
it
the
was
only place open?
Excellent.
I didn't walk too far around.
Was
I
Hudson
saw
News open?
Chili's. Yes, yeah, those kinds of places, and there's little cookie coffee places. Those were open, but Chili's was stacked.
Of course it was.
Oh,
People know.
I think the game has started. Have we? Has Mike Evans scored the first touchdown yet, Paul? Because that would be terrific news.
I don't think so.
All right, so last thing before we get out of here, because I know people are going to be listening to this tomorrow, watching it tomorrow, give them some bonus content here. We had CDG on week 1 on the show. He will be back. People are big fans of CDG. And we were telling you that Clark was on the show.
Yeah.
And you were like, I know Clark. I've experienced Clark. Can you tell people your Clark story?
Sure, CDG he's such a classic character. Like he's a legend around these parts, and he's an absolute monster. If you watch the video version, if you were just on the podcast, then maybe he has a deep voice, so maybe you could picture him.
He's 6'4", like 300 pounds. He's jacked.
He's a mountain of a human, and he used to always go to the gym, and then he would go straight to the grocery store. And there was, I'm sure he did it more than once, but there was this one day he went into the grocery store straight from the gym. He went around, he bought deli meat, like a package of deli meat. He bought a loaf of bread, and I think he had like a jar of mayo or mustard. And when he went to the cash register, he paid for it, and then he couldn't wait to go to his car, let alone drive home and then have this meal. At the absolute end of the checkout, he stood there and took all the ingredients and made a sandwich together, and then walked out of the grocery store eating his sandwich because he couldn't wait another second before getting that protein in. And honestly, that is the most CDG story there is, and it's entirely true.
Well,
So it's the most CDG
It's the
story.
most arable CDG story that we can
It's
tell.
the most CDG story that I will tell. The guy is there's
A legend.
nobody like him. Yeah.
he's a legend.
All right, I think that'll do it. Sunday Night Live. Jeremy Keefe, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You're the only one of us who's verified on Twitter.
Yeah, and tweets once every couple of years.
You should
so.
sell that to Tim.
I tried needling Tim about it a little bit, and honestly, he kind of seemed like hurt from it. So I left him. You know what I mean? Like I was like, it's not that hard to get verified on Twitter, and he sort of he didn't. It wasn't playful, so I left it at that. It's not a big deal. I didn't do anything to get it. It was an employer that just said, "You're verified now." I didn't think anything of it, but it seemed to kind of stick in Tim's craw a bit, so I never brought it up again. So thanks for mentioning that.
There you go.
Now it's awkward between us.
Next week, we will have another verified on Twitter guest to help us break down Jets Dolphins making his triumphant return to the show for the first time since the Cust Awards. It is Gary and Thorne will be live on the line with Tim and myself. And then we have a special guest for week 6, a special guest for week 7. I think we have the next 6 weeks. We have guest book. I'm not asking people last second anymore, which is really nice until they start following up. But Garion will be here to break down the game, sort of, whatever the fuck we do on this show. Next week for week 5, guests in the lines next week. Until then, sub to the podcast, sub to the channel, like the episode, sub to the newsletter, because that's coming out right after we get off the air, because I'm going to start writing it, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.